Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns. You're watching my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role-playing games with friends. This is the second session of Swoop Gangs, which is part of SWS. I'm jokingly abbreviating it because that stands for Star Wars Saturdays, and this is a Sunday, but the S still count. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It counts enough for me. Swoop Gangs is this hack of 1%er, the outlaw biker gang, except set in Star Wars, so they're a swoop gang. And we're playing on Taris, Taris, which is the city originally created for the Knights of the Old Republic video game series. I think it's pretty neat. However, that was Old Republic. So we've updated, switched up, and changed a few things, but also tried to keep a bit of the heart of what was interesting about Taris as a setting. We have the Hitting Becks as a swoop gang, except that they've been around for literal millennia now, and maybe they rest on their laurels. They're popular, but maybe they're posers. Who knows? They're not great. They are the rivals of our Swoop Bike Club. And then the Black Vulkars are a newly reformed group that was splintered off from the Hidden Becks, who consider our Swoop Bike Club, which is called the Zidhounds. The Black Vulkars consider the Zidhounds their rivals. So we've got a little triangle going on here of animosity. It's going to be interesting and fun. In last session, the Zidhounds took on a job for Hajur the Hutt to liberate some spice known for its slightly cinnamon flavor. So it's called ginger spice, from a warehouse that technically was owned by the Hidden Becks. They fought Velo, one of the Hidden Becks riders, a droid, defeated Velo and the defenses of the warehouse. Then Clutch hacked into Velo and implanted basically some programs to monitor Velo's activities, discovering, as he did, that Velo was once owned by the Black Sun and liberated by the Hidden Becks. So Buli of the Hidden Becks, Buli Brejic, the president of the Swoop Bike gang, helped to liberate Velo from the Black Sun. And he feels a great deal of loyalty to that Swoop gang. That loyalty, of course, is being betrayed because of the programming that Clutch has put into him. He is now a mole within your rival's gang. You guys took off with the ginger spice, mostly through the efforts of Twang leading some people off. And we are going to be picking up about the time that you arrive in Upper City. But let's go around the horn and introduce people after I give a reminder that we do have safety tools. We have lines, which means there are certain lines we don't cross. We're not interested in that being a part of our story. We have veils, which are things that we're okay if it happens, but we're going to fade to black or cut away from it. And then ask first, which is content that we as players should discuss before it's dropped into the scene. So a PC won't have to immediately deal with this content. If we're like, oh, I think I might lean towards this, you say it out loud to us as a group and make sure that everybody's cool with it. We also have the X card, which is a full stop safety tool that if it's a thing that causes you to be uncomfortable or make you want to withdraw or leave the game, please X card first. That said, we do have the open door policy. So if you need to go, you're an adult. This is a fun hobby. And if a thing needs to be done, other than that, go do it. If you can give us a heads up, awesome. But if it's an emergency, just go. I do consider this game like R-ish for violence, but we do have our safety tools, so that's there. And of course, I'll be using Star Wars expletives because they tickle me. So let's meet our Swoop Club gang. I'm going to do it based on rank. So we're going to start off with our treasurer, Anders. If you could introduce yourself, tell us about your character.
Yeah, hello, I'm Anders. I use he, him pronouns. I am playing Crusher, who is the treasurer. She uses she, her pronouns. Yeah, she's got a really fancy bike. She's good at talking, and yeah, I think those are the main points.
Those are great points. Oh, she's our token human too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anders. Next up, Brian, if you could introduce yourself, tell us about your character.
Yeah, I'm playing Twang, she, her. She's the Weequay chaplain of the club and plays the Xantha, which is kind of a electric guitar saxophone hybrid.
I love that thing. I Googled
makes
it.
Total sense.
Yes, I Wikipedia that thing so I could look at it and said, wow, that is a cool, interesting, very Star Warsy. Love it. Will, you are up next.
Hi, I'm playing, I'm Will, he, him, and I'm playing the Enforcer, sorry, a Tals, whose real name is Gulda Wed, but everyone knows him by his gang name as Wild Thing, and he is big and scary looking, but actually prefers just to fix things, really, at the end of the day.
Next up is Stephen.
Hi, I'm Stephen. My pronouns are he, him. Today I'm playing Dwayne, whose pronouns are also he, him. He's the sergeant at arms. Dwayne is a Doug and is just a thug. He's just running around, beating things up and enjoying that. Yeah.
And last but not least is our road captain, Paul.
Hello, I'm Paul, he, him, and the character I'm playing is Clutch, also he, him. Clutch is a Duros, goes by the real name of Rur Jog. And Clutch is got an affinity to equipment and robots. That's really where he sees himself, within the gang.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. All right, let's kick it off. So you are originally, we started Undercity. You went up to Lower City. That's where you did your hit on the warehouse. Now you guys with the crates of ginger spice. Maybe it's being towed by a couple of your speeder bikes or your swoops. You guys are kind of heading at a 45-degree angle, heading up to the beautiful upper city of Terrace. Now, if you've taken a look at the Terrace tab on our character keeper, you can see the upper city. There's lots of rounded towers. The overall look of the city is gorgeous. Transparent steel walkways connect many of the large towers up here. There is an ordinance that you're not supposed to have speeders. They don't want a whole lot of traffic. They don't want to be like Coruscant, which is all, it's Epinopolis, but it's not as pretty as Terrace. So the Teresians say. It's definitely upper city is an elite area, social status, and rich folks live up here. Access is generally restricted to it's restricted for non-humans. That said, the dueling ring, the upper city dueling ring is like it has a special dispensation, or maybe they just ignore those mores because aliens abound at the upper city dueling ring. So the 5 of you come up to meet up, but there was a thing. Let's double check, because Dwayne, you were kind of in a dumpster high as a kite. Did you have an idea, Stephen, on how Dwayne ends up catching up to the group, or did you have a suggestion?
Well, yeah, it could be as easy as one of the mechanics has expected Dwayne to be, off on his own and has like a little beacon, and the rest of the gang could pick me up, pull me out of the garbage scow. I'm high as a kite and say, come along. I think I had 1 crate of spice. I dumped one, but I had the other one. So, yeah.
Cool. Of course, you had to find Dwayne to be able to find the spice. And if you're saying a mechanic had a line on it, that means it would be you, Wild Thing, right? Where did you plant the bug that you used to keep track of Dwayne?
On bike. If Dwang doesn't come back, is easier, but bike is valuable.
Oh man, I totally have this picture of this motley crew just cruising in, all these uh upper elites, clean folks, as all five of you just like whoa, 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 pulling in with your I imagine at least a couple of these swoop bikes are kind of loud. I always have the mental image of, if you remember Ray's speeder bike, like I don't know if it was a speeder bike or a pod racer, whatever she had, but that thing had a definite heavy bass tone to it, and had some really cool sound. So you guys pull up. So you come into the upper city dueling ring, and while yes, dueling is the main attraction, it's a full-on entertainment facility. There's music, live music. There are sabak tables around the edge. The dueling ring does dominate the central part, and it's kind of in a pit to a degree. So there's a lot of people that are moving around in the stands. And then there's this upper kind of VIP area that is hovers over, like there are a number of like floating discs and the like, where people can see and be seen, right? It's a VIP area, but it's not behind one-way glass like they want. It's very foppish, like the globe. Yeah, Paul, you like that? Do a little like British thing. You know, does that make you excited? Well, you guys into that? Huh? You like the globe? You know, where people are like,
we love it when you pander to us, Rich.
I do,
Yeah.
I do. I pander to you. I may do more. Who knows? But like in the globe, where there are people who come up and sit at the side so they can be seen at the theater, and they dress up and they feel as if they're part of it. And of course, as you guys, the five of you walk in, the camera pans and we see Hajur, the Hut, who's up on a floating disc of his own. He has the ever-present slave dancer Oleander. And I'm curious I'm just throwing it out to whoever is most interested in it. Who is it that Oleander looks down and like locks eyes with? And we realize, oh, the two of you know each other. Oh, I see a hand. I see a hand for Wild Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
The towels. That's quite an interesting discovery. So little Oleander, if you look in the character keeper, she's up second one listed. She is a human with this bright red hair. Style. So good question. Mechanically, it's current level. So for style, it's 5, right? So if you're at a 1, you want to go to a 2, cost you 5 XP. That was a mechanical question for people who are listening to this on the Hellmouth feed. Sorry. I just like to answer this right away as soon as I can. Otherwise, it'll burn in the back of my brain. So yes, we see the huge towels, Wild Thing, white fur, those 2 pair of eyes, and
Little beady black eyes of the
those
towels.
beady black eyes from the towels. And when Oleander looks at towels, like, what do we get? What is the read we get from? She knows Wild Thing, recognizes him. What do you think, Will, is the expression on Oleander's face that the camera picks up when she notices that he's here?
I think Oleander is happy and sad at the same time, a little bit melancholy. And Wild Thing is happy, is, angry, but not with her.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. So I guess Clutch, you being the road captain, you're kind of leading the thing. Do you imagine you turned in the spice to someone here, or do you have it back at your swoop bikes? Like, how are you taking care of that spice before delivery, or do you just have it like on a crate and you're just pushing the damn thing in?
I think we've got it in the sort of saddlebags of our swoop bikes. We've redistributed it in a smaller. So
Okay.
from those, well, I think we've only got 1 carton. So I think we've now split that into like 10. So that'll fit in like saddlebags. It's on our swoop bikes.
Cool. So you guys have, so you're carrying it in saddlebags, or saddlebags on the swoop bikes?
No, I think let's go for that classic sort of over the shoulder kind of look. That these guys can do. So yeah, remove the saddlebags over the shoulder. That sort of Western look as
like
we
it.
march into the arena.
Cool. So one last thing, since we determined last time it would be interesting to try out the idea of rolling for karks. Every OB starts with 3 plus 1d6 of karks. Let's have you do that. So let's go from left to right. Brian, if you could roll a d6 and add 3 to it, and that will be your current kark total. Oh, there you go. 9 karks to start. Whoa, you're feeling good. That is, wow, nice. Cool. Go ahead and click away and have that fun. And let's hit up with Anders.
That's an 8 for me.
What? Oh my goodness, you guys are just full of yourselves. Paul, let's have Clutch roll some karks. There we go. Somebody at 4, bare minimum. Steven. All right. Looks like the bare minimum for Twang, but at least you have some. And then Will for Wild Thing. Let's get that roll in. Oh, yet again, you are just a kark meister. That's 2 great rolls for karks in a row for you. Good stuff. I'm gonna have to add a 3rd row of karks, I think, just to make sure. All right. So you guys are overall feeling pretty good. You've taken the hidden becks down a peg. You've got this very profitable yield. And Clutch, once you guys come in, are you gonna, you've got all this ginger spice, you know, you've got thousands and thousands of creds on your backs here. If only you could move it. But Hajur the Hutt hired you guys, and yeah, the profit's gonna happen when you make the exchange. Is this a thing where you're gonna grab a booth or 2 and let someone go up to Hajur, or are you gonna just walk right up to get to him directly? What do you think, Clutch? What do you do?
I'd like to get a booth and maybe a our best representative could approach Hajur and his crew and say, the job's complete. So yeah, I'd like to see our best person, male, female, or species, go forward.
So is this a thing where, I mean, you guys are on the road, but you're still at the end of a ride, so you can kind of pick out, is that a thing where your treasurer does this?
Yeah, I definitely think the treasurer would, Crusher, this is sort of your area, yeah?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I think that Dwayne, whenever I think Clutch actually says something about the best one needs to go, and Dwayne stands up and starts going forward, and I think Clutch kind of reaches over and Crusher kind of says, "You sit back down," and yeah.
Oh,
Keep your blasters ready, Dwayne. Keep your blasters ready. You need it here.
Yeah, and I'm high as a kite. Yeah.
All right.
I'll handle it this time.
Cool. So Crusher, you take off from the group. Twang, there's a lot of really good music playing right now. In fact, maybe there's a person who's playing a oh shoot, I didn't write it down. And you said it, and I didn't write it down. Xanth, is that it? Xanth? Xantha. Maybe there's somebody playing a Xantha. Is it somebody that is like competition for you, or somebody you gave lessons to way back in the day on the sly? What do you think?
Yeah, it could be someone who yeah, I mean, this Xantha's not from this planet, so there's probably not a ton of options for tutors here. So,
oh, somebody you taught, somebody who's playing up in the upper city. makes a lot of money doing it, and instead of running around with a dirty swoop gang. I like that. Cool. So where do you and the gang go? Do you guys grab a booth? Do you think you just let everybody spread out wherever they want? What's the plan?
I mean, this is a valuable package, and we really don't want to upset the hut. So, forcing numbers a booth, that's got good visibility of Crusher. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you guys grab maybe like a horseshoe booth, and there's a Tagruta female who comes by and asks you guys if you want some drinks, and she says, "Oh, it's on the house. It's on the house." And she looks up towards Hajur, and evidently Hajur is aware that you guys have arrived. That's the subtle cue that the hut gives to let you know that things are going. We cut to Crusher. No, Crusher, there's a lift that you take to get up to the VIP level, and then there are these like transparent steel walkways that lead to each of the little VIP floating areas. And there are a couple of well, I think Gajor will probably go with the more traditional Gamorrean guards, right? He's a traditionalist, even though he's in Terrace. So you come up. What is your attitude towards these Gamorrean guards to get your way in to talk to Hajur? He's waiting for you, so these guys are just gonna.
Yeah, she's got her swagger on, so she just steps up to them and let me in. The boss is waiting for me.
One of the Gamorreans has like this vibro axe, and he sneers at you for a moment, and he says something in the guttural Gamorrean, pig-like language, and the other Gamorrean, and then they start to move aside. Do you think that Crusher can understands Gamorese? I don't know if that's the name of their language.
Probably not. Maybe she knows a word or two, but she's not. She doesn't. There are no Gamorreans in the gang, and I don't think the Gamorreans don't feel. Maybe there are biker types. I don't know, but no, maybe a word or two, but not. She doesn't.
He says something that sounds a little bit like a little stick, and the other Gamorrean chuckles, and then they get out of the way, and the palanquin that Hajur is on slightly rotates in the air because it's a hover sled, right? He turns and regards you and says,
"Crusher, so happy to see you, my little one."
Yeah, likewise. We've done the thing you asked.
He takes a draw from his hookah, and Oleander leans forward puts her elbow on her knee.
"Oh, you have? Good. I will send a couple of my men to take it from you. Do you want to be paid in kind or simply credits?"
Credits will be just fine, thank you.
Spins everywhere. You sure you don't want some flan?
We've had enough for today.
Very well. I'm most flush in Imperial credits. That spins well here on Terrace, but not so well in the New Republic. You're not traveling, though, are you?
No, we're staying put.
Good. I will have a cantona of credits sent to you.
Yeah, I'm sure. So as long as we get paid when we deliver the goods.
Oh, you have the goods here, though, yes?
Yeah, sure.
Then you hand over the goods. I need them. Yes, that's why I sent you. I get you a pay.
I mean, pay on delivery. That's what the deal is, right?
Nice. So I think Crusher, we're gonna have to see if your jaw is gonna get you paid right now, or if he's gonna try to forestall this and pay you later. Invoice him is what he's saying.
Yeah.
All right. So let's say that your difficulty here is normal, right? This is just a negotiation thing. He's trying to say, oh yeah, you're gonna get paid, but later, after I've sold some of this spice to somebody else. But you're saying no, pay now, dip into your funds and give me the creds. So difficulty of 2. I'm going to say tension not involved in the role right now. It's not like he's going to draw a blaster. You're just pushing a little bit. If he were in front of somebody that he wanted to impress, it might have tension. But right now, it's just the two of you talking. You're smart.
Mm-hmm.
You're not being disrespectful or mouthy. So you have, it sounds like we're being cool, right?
Yeah.
Using your jaw for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's 6 dice.
Do you feel like any of your expertise come to play here?
I mean, not really. Bribery or blackmail, I don't think so. We're just talking. There's no pressure.
I agree. All right, 6 dice. You need 2 4 through 6s.
Let's see. No. Oh, 6 dice.
I'll lend a kark. And I think the kark is simply Wild Thing's presence and his history with Oleander. And
Nice.
the simmering resentment towards Azure.
That's 1 more die, right?
Yeah, it would be 1 more die.
So that's and it's 4 plus is a hit.
Yeah, so you
So I
definitely got that.
6.
You nailed that.
Oh, Crusher, you drive a hard bargain. You are wasted with these Swoop Gangers. I should have you as one of my people, yes? I'll send Oleander down with the credits. Just go sit with your gang, enjoy yourself, bet on the matches. Who knows, maybe I get all this money back before the night is over.
Yeah, maybe. But you, if you want to hire me, you'll have to save up a bit first. I'm pricey.
He laughs and his tail kind of wiggles with the excitement. It budges Oleander a little bit, and she looks back, but then smiles when he looks down at her. And he doesn't even apologize. She just acts as if he's apologized for basically clipping her with his gigantic tail. And yeah, Oleander will get up. She's going to go fetch the credits to bring it down to your table. So Hajur reaches his the little spittle thing. I don't know what it's called. The tip of the hookah over to you, offering you a hit off of his hookah.
Sorry, I need to keep a clear head to count all this money.
Yes, little one. Good working with you, Crusher. Tell all the gang, enjoy yourself tonight.
Thanks. And if you have any other jobs for us, you know where to find us.
I do.
And then the hover sled starts to rotate back around, and you hear an announcer call out the next couple of people in the dueling ring. It looks like as we cut back down to the rest of the crew, the current match is actually a blaster on blaster match, stuns, and the match is between a pair of stars. This is a big night. Montich Agon. What do you think? Agon or Aegon? Just checking in. Anyone prefer one pronunciation or the other for a last name? Does Aegon sound cooler? Is it
Aegon sounds cooler.
Aegon.
Yeah.
Aegon.
Yeah.
Montich Aegon, the professional duelist, an ex-bounty hunter. We're taking on Smiley. Smiley is a human. She has this. The reason she's called Smiley is she has this air kind of filtration unit that takes off the bottom half of her face, and it's painted with this garish, almost like a mempo from a Japanese style face mask with this wicked teeth, like it's open, a wide open mouth, like a demon's mouth. And Smiley, you guys know, is a duelist who is employed by the Black Sun. She doesn't normally compete, but she seems to be itching to take on Montich Aegon. The two of them head, and you can see that there are a bunch of devices that are popping up in the dueling arena as like little barriers and places to hide, so that they can kind of move around the arena and it can extend out what's going on. A number of people move to the edges to watch. Some of the VIP areas move and tilt just a little bit more as the tension starts to rise when the duelists come to face each other. I'm going to check in with Dwang. What is it that we see you doing as you guys are all seated at this booth and potentially, drinking, enjoying the duel?
So I think Dwayne is actually outside the booth in front, and as people come by, or even like whenever the server comes to bring our drinks, he kind of does the whole bull rush kind of thing, like threatening them, and then you can pass, you can get by, and that kind of thing. Just being an all around jerk.
Awesome. I think that the Togruta server at one point would say, "Have you ever thought about being a duelist?" She'll ask you that, Dwayne.
No. I prefer breaking people's arms with my hands, not, just shooting them. Shooting them's cheap. He kind of spits on the ground. It's a nice clean floor, and he spits on it and kind of turns around.
Oh, wow. She's not sure how to take that one. She says, would you like a refill? Just moves on. She does not want to cause trouble. But yeah, that's definitely not what she expected when she tried to pay you a compliment. That's great. Yeah, so Wild Thing. I imagine being a big towels in a dueling ring that, while it does accept other species, this is probably not the most comfortable booth for you to sit at.
No, I mean, I think Wild Thing is just sitting back, sipping on a smoky drink of some kind, maybe like 3 or 4 of them lined up in front of him. He's just going to sit, drink, and just stew over the hut, the slaver, and this whole den of scum and villainy.
I love it.
Like what do we call ourselves again?
The Zidhounds.
The Zidhounds. We're free. We're on the road. No one tells us what to do. No one puts collars on the Zidhounds' necks, right? Like, this is just a man. The hut, even worse, less than a man.
Nice. I love that. Just stewing on the smoky drink coming out. Maybe it's a different color, like a purple smoke that comes out of there.
Yeah.
So Crusher, you see your crew, Dwayne talking smack, Wild Thing brooding. I don't know if Wild Thing's a brooder, right? There might be something you pick up on.
I mean, someone can regain karks by bonding with their fellow gang members. I suppose that's the thing that we haven't.
So this is a wide open opportunity for folks to gain some karks, like people who.
Yeah, I think I'll wander over a Wild Thing and sort of say, brother, what troubles you being here in the upper city? Is there anything you want to tell us?
Upper city built on the backs Built on the middle city, built on the lower city, built on the people crushed below. And the huts.
True, they exploit.
They change.
So, yeah, we got to look at breaking that chain at some stage. But he's
Rather break
powerful.
huts.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, brother. You know, let's deal with these smaller gangs, and maybe then, when we're powerful, we can take on the hut. Put him down in the lower city.
He wouldn't like it. And Oleander walks across the platform, I think, right? Like the viewing thing across the pipe, the dueling ring. Think she's safe here.
Nobody's safe from the Zid Hounds. We want it, we take it.
And he slides you over one of those drinks that he's been jealously guarding the whole time.
And, you know, I think at that stage, you know, there's some action down in the pit. You know, this blaster contest. So, yeah, I'll take a shot of this, drink the wild thing, and it's pretty potent. And then, yeah, you know, cheer the crowd.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do we just regain a kark for that? Or do we just gain a kark for that?
That is great. That was an excellent bonding scene. So usually the GM will award between 3 and 6 karks at the end of a point where you guys reinforce your bonds. And I think that meets the criteria. So both of you get back 3 karks.
3.
I've added a new row. Yeah, 3 karks.
I think now I have
what?
Now I have 10 karks.
Yep, you got a lot of karks.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't worry. By the way, I thought Clutch started with 4 this session. Did I misremember? I thought you rolled a 1.
I started at 4, so I had 4 from last session, and then I rolled.
We're
1.
like starting fresh the whole time.
Oh, okay,
so.
yeah, then that's back down.
But then you just earned 3 with that bond scene, so you're up to 7.
Okay,
cool. Just checking in. All right. So yeah, Crusher, you come back. You see that Clutch and Wild Thing were chatting for a little bit. Twang, the Xantha music. You've taught this person how to play, but I don't know. Have you ever heard somebody on like Guitar Hero and they're playing, but they miss a note every once in a while as they're trying to speed play, and you can hear it. And nobody else seems to notice, Twang, but your pupil is nowhere near as good as you, and they keep playing. How are you dealing with the imperfections?
I mean, it's not that surprising. They don't they never played with enough feeling, you know. It was just trying to technically copy what I was showing them. That's never enough.
Let's give them a name. Let's say that they are a chiss by the name of Sim, like CIM, but it's pronounced Sim, like simulation. So yeah, Sim is up playing, and they're playing with skill, but it's people who really know the Xantha, which is pretty much you and them. They're not hitting all the notes, and they don't seem to care. Maybe they don't even notice. Light shines on the chiss, and their blue skin kind of glows a little bit. They've got this Xantha, and they've tuned up the Xantha, and it's silvery, and it throws out all kinds of light, and they're getting into it. People are loving it, but it's so there's an emptiness to it, Twang. So the 5 of you meet up, you drink, you watch the duel between Montage, Aegon, and Smiley. Smiley is a crafty little duelist. She moves about trying to use cover to her advantage before she launches an attack. But Montich is a crafty veteran, and he lays out a few feints until finally Smiley bites on one of them. He fires and eventually downs her. There's riotous applause. Looks like some of the people were betting on the new blood, hoping that Smiley would come out on top. But as the announcer proclaims, still as yet unbeaten, Montich Aegon. And he raises his blaster up and salute, and then he looks up to the hover sled of your current patron, Hajor the Hutt, and he inclines his head, puts his hand over his chest, and just gives him an honorable salute. And Hajor waves, and people, and then things start to disperse. You guys have to wait, say a few minutes or so before Oleander returns with the Imperial creds. Is there anything you want to do?
I think Wild Thing
I think
wants
just
to
keep
get
an eye
of
out.
here.
Cool. So Clutch is keeping an eye out. What did you say Wild Thing wants to do?
I want to get out of here. I want to get away from this sleazeball, slimy, looking nerf herder.
I think Crusher mentioned that Oleander's going to deliver the credits to this table, though.
Yeah, I think when she notices that Wild Thing is getting a bit restless, she puts a hand on his arm and just, we'll have our money soon, and then we can leave. Just try to keep your patience until then.
And I think that Dwang has actually picked up on the fact that Twang's displeased about the music that's going on. There's a little bit more attention there. And I think Dwang is like gone over and he sees everybody kind of cheering at the band, and he throws his glass and smashes it up on the thing and it's like, you play like poodoo. And he's just kind of booing and everything. And yeah.
Oh my gosh. Harsh. Sweet. Were you looking to, like, is this a thing where you're trying to support your gang member, or do you just want to cause some trouble for someone that you know that he doesn't, that they don't like?
I think it's actually both. I'm just trying to, I think I'm itching for a fight, right? And as soon as I see Twang is displeased with something, I'm like, oh, this is my chance. If Twang wants to back me up, boy, we could go in and I could beat him up, and she could get up on stage and play her thing. She doesn't want that. I can just be a little rabble rouser.
Okay. Awesome.
I figure it's one of those things that Crusher and Clutch were busy, like, keeping Wild Thing back and didn't pay attention to Dwang, so he wandered off to pick a fight.
And Twang's, stuck close to you just to make sure you didn't, bring down more of an incident than we could handle. But at the same time, she kind of appreciates the sentiment, so she's, not reining you in completely, but then trying to, okay, that's enough. They're
Not
playing
letting
the
the
best
fight,
they can.
not letting the fight start, but not stopping the booing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are a few people who like snap around when you're talking about the music. You're talking about their music, but Twang comes up, she gets you to back down. Yeah, is there a thing, Dwayne? Like, it's all indirect. Is there anything more direct? Like, you want to make this a bit of a bonding scene with Twang when she finally comes up to pull you back?
Oh yeah. I think I lean over and I go, Twang, I've heard you play better than them. You should be up there. I have no idea that this is one of your pupils, right? I'm just like, I've heard you can do that. Why don't you? And I think I turned to like one of the audience members that's kind of turned around on me and is like, shh. And I'm like, they can play better than this crap.
My music would be wasted on this audience.
And I think Dwayne picks up on that and turns around and is like, that's right. Good music's wasted on this audience, and kind of walks away a little bit with playing. Yeah.
That's great. Three. I will give 3 to both of you as for a nice little bonding scene. That is pretty awesome. I dig it. Oleander comes over. She's got a cantona filled. I just want to have a cantona. I mean, let's be honest. I just want to stick a cantona into the scene. You know, we had the cantona filled with the metal bars in Mandalorian, right? It's that weird ice cream machine thing. So she twists it and the doors open up and you see all these, it's got the little Imperial symbol on it, but these long bars that are the Imperial credits, good in all of Zinja's empire, which Terra sits at the tip of. And she tilts it around the table and makes sure that you guys all see. She's standing really close to you, Wild Thing. Kind of leans into where your fur brushes against her arm. Would you like for me to stay as you count it? She asks, meekly.
You've already said you wanted to stay.
I want to stay here, yes.
Just grabs the cantona and just says, no need to count. Hazure knows what the hounds will do. Right, Clutch?
Too right, Wild Thing.
When I throw, like one of the bars over at Oleander, like sort of like passive, like slightly aggressively kind of thing. And I'm just going to leave now that we've got the money, because I don't want to be, I'm about, one step away from punching the nearest person who gives me a reason to deck them that I can deck, who isn't Hazure, because I can't deck Hazure quite yet.
That's so true. So true. You can't deck Hazure. Cool. All right. You guys get to leave the dueling ring. All right. So you guys all head out to your swoop bikes and Clutch. When you check in on, do you imagine you have like a data pad or some kind of like little holo device to be able to see through your connection you set up on Velo?
Yeah, one of those sort of all blue hollow devices. I think that'd be dead cool. So yeah, we can see and hear, and it's going in and out as the quality of the transmission goes up and down.
I like it. So so when you pull that up, you see that Velo is traveling, and there's a moment where you see out of Velo's eyes, right? Like you see Velo cam, and you see the backs of a couple of the hidden backs. They've got their cool hidden back symbol on the cut on the back of their synth leather. I imagine it's like a bright blue synth leather jacket. It's very showy, right? It's not the hard kind of stuff. It's stepped off of the magazine cover kind of leather jackets that they're wearing. But you see past them and you recognize your salvage yard. Like they're riding that way. What do you do?
And I'll sort of throw my hands up and go, oh no, they're attacking our base. We've been misled. To the bikes, boys, to the bikes.
Nice. Cool. So you guys run to hop onto your swoop bikes and you've got to race down to the Undercity. That's where you have your junkyard / compactor, or junkyard / salvage yard with a compactor, that kind of thing. Do you have people? I imagine that this gang isn't just the 5 of you, right? You probably have a few gang members back there, or is it literally just the Swoop Gang is you guys? What do you imagine?
Well, we've got to have a president. So I'd expect
Called,
him to be back there.
Yeah, I mean they're called pledges, right? Like people who haven't earned their
Yeah, prospects, pledges. Yeah.
prospects. That's the one. Yeah, prospects. Oh, there must be prospects, right? Like what kind of biker gang only has 6 members?
Exactly. So you got
You
prospects
need
back.
mooks.
Exactly. How about this? You guys know that there are a number of prospects that are back there, maybe a member to your vice president, but your president, let's say your president's currently locked up right now, doing a short stint. And so the vice president's kind of running things. I'll check in with Crusher. You're the one who knows people better. Is the vice president very happy to be in the position of acting president right now, or are they in over their head?
I think both. They've been really looking forward to it for a chance to prove that they can do the job. I think they're fairly young, like mid-20s or something. They're the vice president because they're related to the president or something.
Oh, it's like the kid of the president, or a niece nephew kind of deal.
Nephew probably. But they don't know, they haven't earned the respect of everyone, so they're trying to throw their weight around, but they don't have the authority. They can't get things done the way they think they can.
Cool. And Twang, what species do you think your president and therefore current vice president is? Remember, we got the names and species helpers if you.
Yeah. How about Deveronian?
Oh, cool. You got a Deveronian into it. Sounds awesome. So let's grab a name from our Deveronians. Kind of dig Cap Dindo. You guys like that for the name of your VP? All right, Cap Dindo. Cap Dindo is back at the junkyard, the salvage yard clutch. When you get that heads up, the Velo and the Hidden Becks are making their way to your place. Tell everybody to mount up. Is there anything you're doing on the way?
Yeah, well, I'd like to contact the VP, and sound the alarms. They're incoming.
Nice. You reach out and Cap answers, and he says, "Go for Cap."
They're incoming. The Becks. They're coming to the den.
What did you do?
We didn't do anything. Maybe we've been sold out. Man the guns.
All right. Get back here.
On our way, boss.
Nice. I found a pick for Cap Dindo. He looks like a nephew who maybe isn't quite ready. To me, I don't know. Hopefully that fits. Sweet. So you guys race, and here's a go. Like the question I have, and I guess our road captain should be the one to answer. I'm going to put to you. Is this a thing where you're going to go all out, or are you only going to go as fast as the slowest member of your gang to get there? Like, you want to arrive as a gang, or do you want to just get everybody can get there first, just get there to do what you can? What do you think, Clutch?
I think sticking with a sort of anarchy type image of a biker gang, I think, all hell for leather. And probably there will be these massive down tubes, where we just crest over the top and then, shoot down. So, Yeah, I think it'll be every man for himself. You know, let's get there as soon as possible.
Oh, I love the idea that down tubes, like maybe it's even a sewage tube or something. Like you're hovering above it, so you're not going in, you're throwing up these wakes, and just going straight off of Hog. I think Dwang and Crusher, you two were the first to come onto the scene. You just barely edge out the rest. You only got like one higher than the others, but enough to like edge slightly forward. I think it's Crusher. You've got a slick, mean machine. You know how to drive. Dwang, you just like your machine is it's poodoo, but you drive it so hard, right? There's a point like one piece like drops off and patang across one of the tunnels as you guys are flying away. And when you come upon your salvage yard, you see that the Becks at this point, like they're racing almost. I imagine the salvage yard's probably got fences at the very least and just a main gate. And they've been racing around the sides of it, like circling around. You see one of them like tosses a grenade over the side, and you hear an explosion, and you hear blaster fire as your people inside are trying to fire out at the Becks, but the Becks are just they're fast. It's hard to get a track on them. So as you guys come upon the scene, it's a salvage yard. I don't imagine a salvage yard is near very populated areas, right? Because it probably is dangerous and smelly and the like. So you do have that benefit that, number one, you're in the Undercity. There are no cops unless someone is specifically targeting a thing and they've paid the right money to the stormtroopers. There are no cops here. And also it's non-residential area, not a lot of people around. I'd say there's like burned out husks of speeders just outside that you haven't pulled into the junkyard. Rust is the primary color that's going on. So let's check in with our first two who arrive. So Crusher, when you see what's going on with the hidden Becks trying to cause mayhem, like they're not trying to get into your place as much as just trying to hurt and break stuff. What do you do, Crusher?
I try to find pull back a little bit to see what's going on and try to evaluate the situation a bit before and not just charge in and without knowing what's going on.
Oh, that sounds smart. Give me a cool plus head.
Cool. So that's 3, 5.
We're gonna call this, because you're like stepping back to watch what's going on. I'm gonna call this a normal difficulty. You're not sticking your nose in it, so I don't think tension's involved either. This is a good call to like get a read on the thing.
I think I'll give a kark as well. That's one more die, right?
Okay, it is.
Then I will do
Yeah,
that.
I'll throw a kark in, just the sort of like the pre-warning that we got through the hollow thing. You know, I'll be relaying that to Crusher as he gets there. So yeah, I'll throw a kark in as well.
Yep. 7 dice then. And that's 5 hits.
Yeah, it's 4 or 5 or 6 will be. Oh wow, that is 5 hits. That's what you were saying. Yeah. So here's the read you get on it. These guys are lashing out, and if somebody rears up, they're gonna fade. They're gonna pull a fade. They're just here to cause some damage, lash out a bit, and race off before there's any serious retaliation. They're pissed off, but they also maybe don't think that this is the place to go to war.
Yeah, then I think I'll pull up beside Dwang, assuming Dwang hasn't just already charged in, and say,
I love that you're assuming that hasn't happened. Dwang, have you already charged in?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to stomp on anyone's stuff, but yeah. So
Yeah,
my plan was the person who tossed a grenade, I want to come up next to them or bump their bike with mine and jump on their bike and get into a fist fight with them.
Oh, that's amazing.
But
boarding action.
I don't want to stomp. Yeah, I don't want to stomp on Crusher stuff.
No, that's great. I mean, Crusher turns to talk to Dwang and sees Dwang is already halfway there, and she just shrugs and follows and pulls out her blaster and starts firing.
Cool. Is this a thing? I imagine you guys have some kind of helmets. You can calm each other, talk over the din of your speeder bikes and the speed of what's going on. So, if Crusher, if you want to share that info, feel free.
Yeah. I'll just relay. They just seem to be trying to cause trouble. We'll chase them off easy enough.
Dash, who is their sergeant at arms, he is the guy who threw the grenade, Dwang. So if you want to try to jump onto his swoop bike and fight him, that sounds amazing. Tension is involved. You could fall. Things could go wrong. He's no slouch. And so I'm going to say that this is hard. Like jumping from one bike to another bike and starting a fist fight is a hard thing to do. You need 3 successes.
Okay, so let's see. I think this is probably badass.
Yeah.
This is probably with hands.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
This is totally assault.
Yes.
And I think I'm gonna give a kark on this. Because I don't want them beating up our home. I don't want them just damaging stuff, and I'll roll that.
Okay.
Can I give a
just
kark
see
as
it.
well?
Certainly can.
I'll give a
How
kark
does that
for-
look like?
I mean, the kark is that I fixed his bike before once I pulled it out of the junk.
So I think all the way down here, my bike's kind of been smoking a little bit, and then I see this like little switch, and I switch it, and all of a sudden that's what kicks me in and gets me past Crusher, to catch up with them. That's perfect.
Look, just kicks in. I love that.
Yeah.
Nice. See how this goes.
So that last one was a 6. Let me look at my roll history. Oh yeah, I got a lot of 4s.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
1-1.
Oh
so
yeah.
You lose a kark, but you certainly succeed at this. So what happens to Dwang's swoop bike? Does it just like fall off, or does it keep riding like autopilot? What do you think happens there?
No, I think it totally like ditches as soon as I jump off. I think there's like probably a dead man switch or something, but it's got that roll cage on it, so it probably hits the ground and rolls and like hits probably bangs loudly into the side of the salvage yard. Yeah.
Wild thing, you get to see that. You gave a kark, you get to see that, yeah, you've got another mess to work on. You jump on top of Dash, tackle into him, punch him a few times. He's desperately trying to keep riding. I imagine he's got more of a speeder bike, right? It's sleek. It's got the cool designs on. It's got the thing where there's like the neon underneath it that pulses a little bit. It's tricked out. It's a street ride kind of deal. And so he's trying to still ride while you're punching. You hit him in the face a few times. And he's like, get off of me, get off of me. He's trying to desperately grab, and he grabs your arm, but you're using your feet to punch him. So yeah, how do you take, like, is this a thing where you unhorse him? What do you do? Because you've got enough successes where you've defeated Dash. What does that look like?
Yeah, I don't have any interest in like permanently hurting him or anything, but I kind of want his bike, right?
Okay.
So I think I unhorse him, knock him, he falls to the ground, and I don't necessarily want to keep them from running away. If they're going to run away, I could see one of his compatriots picking him up, but Dwang is definitely going to sit there perched on this stolen speeder bike and like, that's right.
And there's a moment where the ride on this is so buttery smooth and it's so quiet. You've never ridden a bike like this. Oh, Dwang, it's really nice. And Crusher, you said you had Dwang's back, right? So Dash gets knocked off. He's been punched a few times. He is now standing up and he's reaching a hand out, and you see that Kiana is about to like come and try to grab his hand and pull him and throw him up over onto the back of his speeder bike. And they've noticed that you're coming up behind. What are you doing, Crusher?
I think we kind of established that these types of skirmishes happen, and we don't really try to kill each other unless it's really serious. That's how we talked about it last time.
Yep.
So I think she fires her blaster after them, but not really trying to hit them. It's more like, yeah, get out of here, than trying to kill them.
Awesome. If you want to drive a few of these folks off, or perhaps convince Kiana that this crazed bit of retaliation is a terrible idea, I'm going to say tension's also involved. And she's a lot more skilled than Dash, but she's also trying to pick Dash up. So therefore it's just hard. Just hard.
Yeah, so I think now I'm trying to be badass.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. Is this tools? Is it?
If you're using your hog to do it, I think it's hog.
It's hog. Yeah. I'm driving and trying to. Yeah. Okay. So that's 5. I don't think my expertise applies. So I'm going to give a cart. Get it 6 dice.
I'll give you a carcass. I'll give you a carcass as well. And this is the distraction of me, on top of the bike yelling at them.
Yeah. So 7 dice, and that's 4 hits.
Where's my ones? Man. So you like butt up against Kiana. It throws them off a little bit, maybe scuffs her ride, and she realizes, oh, this is they're coming. They're people firing from the side, and she kind of pulls her fingers up to her, does a quick sharp whistle, and the hidden becks start to break, and they're going to take off. Clutch, you and Twang and Wild Thing see that the hidden becks have broken at this point, and they're starting to take off. What do you do? Velo is riding like behind all of them. He's the trailer to kind of make sure that they are covered. What do you do, Clutch?
Could we swing sort of behind Velo and give him some blaster fire that clearly isn't going to hit him, but would just sort of make it look as if we are gunning for him.
So you're trying to communicate, I could have shot you down, but I didn't, kind of thing? Or
yeah, and also that his fellow gang members know that we're gunning for Velo.
Cool. So that you're just trying to make sure to continue the obfuscation. You don't want to hurt Velo, but you want them to think, oh man, they almost took Velo out. Kind of
3 strikes and you're out, droid. Like, yeah, you were lucky last time. This next time we're gonna get you, kind of thing.
Love it. I want to put that to a roll to see
Velo with you.
If you convince them that like this, no suspicion should be held against Velo at this point, because there probably is just a little bit, right? He came out of that looking okay, and he was the one who was supposed to defend that warehouse. He's kind of on their voodoo list. So how are you approaching this? What do you think are it's definitely high action stuff. There's too much going on for this to be cool, I think. But which thing is most important to you in trying to do this?
Let me unmute. Yeah, I think sort of being badass and blasters fall under tools. Yeah. I'm not directly using my hog. I think I've got good firing position. So yeah, just sort of like hidden with sporadic blaster fire.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna say if you're successful with this, the gang is going to be like, oh, okay, Velo's one of us, right? You successfully, and I think that's carking hard just in the fact that they lost this whole, all the ginger spice and the warehouse, and he came out of it unscathed. So that's what makes it a little bit higher difficulty. But yeah, we're going to call that carking hard. But you pull that off, and they are none the wiser. 4 successes is what you need.
Okay, so I've got 2 with being badass, 3 with tools, so I'm up 5.
I'll throw you a kark. I'll be
Yeah,
part of this
and,
shooting, right?
I'll lob in a kark.
Yeah, me too.
So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay. You got a good shot.
We said that last week.
It could all be ones, right? And then he's shot down instead.
No, actually, that's
Oh.
pretty good.
That is 4, what, 6 successes and 2 ones. That's a great result. I love it. It costs a little bit, right? But you pull it off. You fire a few times. I think Kiana fires back, but she sees you guys are trying to take everybody out, and definitely we'll say that maybe Velo, like his ride takes like a glancing blow, right? It's definitely, you perfectly aimed it, but it looked like a kill shot that he just barely avoided. And the hidden backs, they take off. They are able to get away, and your place is now safe. The salvage yard has been freed. They wait a little bit before the gates open up, and all 5 of you ride in. Oh, does anybody like continue chasing the hidden backs, or once they are definitely gone, you just pull back and head back inside?
Well, I think because we've got Velo.
Yeah, you also have
sort of,
Dwayne on one of their bikes. I'm curious about how that goes too.
Oh, I think Dwayne, kind of comes down and takes that bike next to, that he's got, and he kind of pulls it next to his bike that's kind of sitting there in the rubble, and he hops off of it, and he kind of glances back at that bike, and he kicks it. But I think it has this auto hover kind of thing, and he kicks it, and it kind of stabilizes, and then he goes over to his bike, and, kicks it up a little bit, it smokes and everything, and then he gets back on it to ride it inside, and dragging that nice bike behind him.
Nice. Cool. So you guys get inside. The salvage yard. I imagine this is a huge expanse, right? You've got decades, centuries worth of old parts, components. There's whole sides of the junkyard that nobody, like, there's nothing worth having anymore, but it's just tons and tons of trash. I imagine there's like this heavy, coppery, metallic smell to everything here. So what do you do?
Yeah, oil.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, when we get in, I go over to Dwang and his new bike, and I put my hands on my hips and, squint my 4 eyes down at it, and I go, real nice. Should last about 2 weeks with you.
This is a piece of poodoo. You can use it for parts. I want the things that make it recognizable so we can smash it up and drop it back on their doorstep.
Just reaches over and rips off like the what's it called, just the shell of it, basically. Like, I've forgotten the name, but not the parts, but the fuselage sort of thing. I just rip open the bit of it, and start rooting around inside for extra stuff.
And I think it sparks and sputters and then kind of hits the ground, and the light, you said it's lit from underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that light, I'd like to see that at some point back, in like our headquarters or something like that being used as like the light at a bar or something like that in an alcove or something. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
We now have the headlights of it, like a spotlight at the front of it, right? Like in like a sort of watchtowery type thing, and then in our bar is lit by their whole LED kind of Pimp My Ride style things.
That's hilarious. So you guys have a bar. Just to check in, the bar is not is it located in the junkyard, or is it somewhere else in Undercity? Where you imagine your bar is?
Nearby. I like to see it, you know, like near the junkyard, but like someplace that
A little more
the Brave-
populated. Like
Yeah.
is this like a pub that a lot of people go to, but you guys run it type deal, or is it more exclusive?
I don't think a lot of people go there.
Yeah, I think if it's outside the junkyard, then I think it probably would be a public, sort of semi-public type place.
It's the kind of place where they spit in the jar in the glass and then rub it out with their fingers and say, "Here you go." Thing. It's good enough for the scrappers and the haulers of the Undercity and some of the braver, more adventurous people from upstairs.
Yeah, but it's very clear that this isn't a place where anyone gets in. Like if you don't fit in, you're gonna get kicked out.
A biker bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dig it. Cool. So it's not like anybody needs any karks right now. There's, Dwang's maybe a little on the low side along with Clutch, but a couple people are overloaded with it. We're also near our mid game. Maybe we go ahead and feels like this might be a good commercial break, Bio. All right, cool. All right. So you guys pull Dash's bike in to your salvage yard with the full intent of breaking it apart for parts so that you can spruce up Dwang's ride, and also pulling some of the neon accents off of it to use at your bar. Let's jump forward a little bit to the bar, right? Maybe we start off with the bright blue neon color that we once saw underneath Dash's ride, now up on one of the walls, and the bar has all of you there enjoying your moments, and of course our vice president, who's seated by you, Clutch. And Clutch, what is it between the two of you from a physical differences? Is he smaller? Is he slighter than you? When the two of you are interacting, what do we see as the major difference that where Clutch maybe looks like he has an edge?
I think he's skinnier. There's not much to this guy at all. Maybe he spent a long time in space. Maybe he's not used to sort of, the G here. I mean, my race is quite well developed for star travel. Maybe he's not. And he really is quite sort of, skin and bone.
Nice. And he says, "Good work with the warehouse. I'm glad I approved that. It was a good number of credits. It'll go well for the hounds."
It was, but you got to let the boys know that it was a group effort. Reward them well, and they'll serve. If you don't, they'll turn on you.
They'll turn on me?
Yeah, you just said it was your good idea. It's the club's good idea. That's what you need to say.
It's not even my club. It's my uncle's club. It's our club. It's our club.
Exactly. It's our club. And the boys did well. So there you go, boss. Get out there and tell them. Spread the credits around. They'll love you.
Oh, let's see if you can convince him to share the credit, or if he's going to selfishly hoard it, or maybe even come back at you. Let's say
Okay.
it's no tension involved quite yet. Normal difficulty. Let's see if you can talk him into it.
So I think this is being cool.
Mhm.
Now, is it jaw or is it head?
I mean, you're talking to the guy. It's kind of charisma related, so that's probably jaw.
Jaw, or if it's
Head's
yeah,
usually
yeah,
around perception of things and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So
So we're looking at 3, 4. Speaking ain't my thing.
I think my badass Santha solo in the background
yeah,
giving you a little boost here. So
Yeah, and I'll spend a kark as well.
that's awesome. I love the Xantha solo paying off. I love it.
So yeah, we're looking at 3, 4, 5, 6 dice.
Okay, good luck.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's a good roll.
Wow.
4.
Yeah, 4 successes. The kid, he listens to you. Captain Doe says, yeah, no, you got a point. You got a point. Hey, that's why you're road captain, right? Clutch. He reaches out, kind of claps your shoulder. It's nowhere near the kind of force that, say, Wild Thing or Dwang would put in the slap, but he grabs his mug of some alcohol, stands up and says, "Great work today, everybody. Dwang, Crusher, Dwang, Wild Thing," as he thinks about it for a second. And of course, Clutch. He holds up this is our success today, protecting the yard, taking out those stupid karking hidden becks. It's all because of you guys.
To the hounds.
Does someone do like a hound bark of some kind? Love it. Love it. And I think I'm curious what Dwang is up to. What are you doing?
I think
right now?
Dwang is sitting around, like listening to the band, listening to Twang play, and is like, he's probably lit his drink on fire. Like, yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Cool. I've thrown a pick in the NPCs. Murgo Dendo is your club president. Does that sound good to everybody? And after declaring you guys did a great job, Captain Doe he starts drinking a little bit more. And he's not going to go out of his way. That's it. He said his piece. He did enough. That's good. He complimented you guys one time. That's enough. That's all he needs to do. So he'll be satisfied with himself and maybe look around, chasing some skirts, kind of looking for someone to hook up with. What about Wild Thing?
I think Wild Thing is busy, tending to all of the bikes and, scowling at them. Starts to rub off some of the dirt off Dwang's bike, and as he rubs more and more of it, he looks at it and then he just rips off the whole panel and then takes one of those spare panels from the Beck's bike and just welds it back on. And yeah, just busy, pootling around with the stuff, maybe with some of the prospects, kind of like holding his tools, and like as he points out to them, like if this bit goes, and it'll take your swoop straight out, and you'll be down in the Undercity faster than you can say kark.
Nice. Is he do you imagine Wild Thing is the kind of person who takes pride in teaching others this thing, or
Yeah,
is it that
yeah.
okay, yeah, because some people are terrible teachers because it just comes naturally to them. And you don't think he's like that. He is enjoying educating some of the prospects.
And like, it's the bit that half of the people here don't appreciate. It's the fact that they love their bikes, but they don't like messing around with them and getting dirty and greasy and whatever, right? They love racing on them and going fast and banging them into things. And they just expect other people to fix them up afterwards.
And I think whenever you say that, Dwayne comes out with like a drink for you, and he's like, he hands you a mug, and it's like, come on, we need to enjoy ourselves.
Just downs it, throws it back to you, and then looks at the Hydra spanner, throws it to one of the prospects, and says, "You can finish up on Dwang's bike."
Oh yeah, and I think there's that prospect looks at the Hydra spanner, seems a little surprised, and one of the other prospects leans in and says, "You'll never know if you kark it up." And they laugh, and they'll start to get to work on Dwang's bike. I'm really curious about Dwang and Relbo, that little kid that Dwang looks after. So the kid's it's a Doug, right?
Yeah. And I think it's like an orphanage. And I think there's lots of kids out there. So do you want to see something like that?
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Yeah. So I think that after a little bit of revelry here at the bar, you see Dwayne kind of scoop up his credits, right, that are on the table, and he kind of wanders out, and he kind of looks back, and he heads off. And I don't think the orphanage is too far away. I mean, it's not like they have laws about it's not next door, but it's a few blocks away. And anyone who wants to come can come as well. But basically, I think that there's all these kids, and he stops by like one of the local places and might pick up, not necessarily candy, but more like maybe the equivalent of ice cream or something, some good food that tastes really good, and then head over to the orphanage. And I think whenever he shows up, so he's spending his credits on that. And I think whenever he shows up at this orphanage, there's a whole bunch of like little kids wandering around and everything. And he's like, calling out to them and everything. And he sits down at like a picnic table they have outside. And he starts kind of setting out, and the kids just come, gathering all around. And he sets out some of the different ice cream and foods and treats and stuff like that. And, they kind of scoop it up. And there's one kid in the back who's a little bit hesitant and comes up, and he pulls them up and makes sure that they get their share and everything. And then with Relbo, I think he kind of sits down and he's like, okay, and I think this picnic table has like a carved like Dejarik board on it.
Oh, cool.
Right. And they sit down and they've got like rocks that they're using as pieces. And, this big rock is is this piece and everything. And they kind of move it around. And he starts playing this with Robo, giving him, oh yeah, we kicked the other gang's ass today. And, we did all this stuff and just going on. And I think Robo wins. Right. And, Dwayne like kind of hangs his head and he's like, oh, you're so good. I'm never going to beat you. And I think you can see the pride in Robo's face.
Oh, that's cool. I really like that. And as you're handling all of this, you see that at the orphanage, like you're outside and you see this speeder arrive with a couple of swoop bikes in tow. And the speeder, you recognize that it's like one of the speeder bikes is driven by the Gamorrean that gave Crusher a little bit of poodoo upstairs. And there's a we'll say it's not Oleander. Maybe there's a Rhodian that gets out of the speeder and heads into the orphanage. And a number of the kids take interest in that, and some of them like start to trickle back towards the orphanage. And Rebel says, another match, right?
And I think Dwayne says, I've got some business. Give me a second, you little Wookiee. I'll be right back. And he kind of gets up and he wanders over. You said there was a Gamorrean that was on the swoop bike?
Yeah.
And I think he's going to talk to this Gamorrean, and he's going to kind of size him up a little bit. He's like, hey, what you doing around here? You're looking to adopt? I'm available. Kind of joking around and stuff like that.
Gamorrean looks at you and just does that piggish squeal of laughter and says, no, too old. We get kids. Cheap work. Good.
Yeah? You done this before?
No.
You working for the Becks?
He spits. No, but then he hesitates like he doesn't want to say who he does work for. You totally saw him. Either he is moonlighting with Hajur, or he's one of Hajur's people. It's more likely he's one of Hajur's people.
Whenever he spits talking about the Becks, Dwayne spits back and he's like, yeah. And kind of maybe even gives him a high five. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, you should make sure get your business done, but don't don't pick out any troublemakers. And kind of looks around and says, how many you taking?
Yeah. He does this thing where he like looks up in the air and wiggles his fingers a little bit, says, some.
Okay. And
which he uses the standard Gamorrean counting of 1, 2, some, many, lots.
Yeah. But and of course Dwayne has no idea. He thinks he's just being evasive because he doesn't know Gamorrean counting kind of thing. That means he says, has to be interested in someone else.
Right. He says, they're gonna sell. Move spice. Stormtroopers no give trouble with them. Smart plan. Best plan. Huh.
Let me tell you a lesson I've learned down here. My job, I'm part of the Zid Hounds. I'm a hound. And my job is to protect, like you, those that are doing the real job of, taking things and finding stuff and, selling stuff. I'm no good at that. I'm good at protection. You good at your job? You gonna protect these? Yeah, that's right. And he pounds his chest back and goes, yeah.
Did he like he was answering that, are you good at your job? He answered that. And then you're like, you're gonna protect these kids. His little piggish eyes squint a little bit. You're not so sure about that.
Our job. It's our job.
Oh, let's see if you can convince him to think that, you got to take care of these kids. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I think this is not being badass. So this is cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
And this is probably heart.
Yeah, right? For sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think
it's hard. Like you're asking him to go out of his way. Yeah. He's not used to that. You've got an in, you're appealing to his sense of, well, being real good at what he does, but now you're making him extend what he does to people. So I think it's hard.
Yeah. And I'm gonna spend a kark. I think that's where I am. I think I've got heart, cool, a kark, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hard, which is 3. I got 3 successes.
So this is Gamorrean. Yeah. Yeah. They move product, not get hurt.
If they don't have a job, you don't have a job. That's the way I look at it.
He nods like that makes perfect sense.
And then I think Dwayne like starts to wrestle a little bit with him. This is kind of it's not I'm threatening your position here with the bike. This is more like I see you and we're brothers. So it's sort of like, anyone else would think it's a scuffle, right?
Mhm.
But if it was a scuffle, Dwayne would like sweep his feet underneath, put him on the ground, and then go after him. No, this is a, kind of a punch shove kind of thing. And then I
Yeah.
think after a little while, he'll go back to Robo.
Sweet. You go back to Robo and Robo's peers at you. He says, gang stuff?
Little bit. Yeah, I mean, sort of. But it's okay. And he goes back, he dumps out the rocks again, and they kind of start setting up the board. You're like, you might be able to help out with this. There are.
What do you mean? Help out
Well,
what? How can I help?
Yeah. We should talk about what your opinions of the other kids around here are. The ones that can take care of themselves. I know you can take care of yourself, and I think you're probably the leader here, right? But we need to know which ones are probably going to be able to handle themselves and which ones can't.
Okay. I can point out some people.
That sounds great. So I want to acknowledge this about we have is it a ask first about harming children? Is it a line or a veil?
It's a line.
It's a line.
Okay. It's a line.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So I think in this case, just out of character, I'm seeing this as a threat to the placement of the hounds that we have.
Mhm.
Someone's kind of coming in on our territory where we've found protection. But I think that I'm gonna go back and tell the Gamorrean, I might be able to help you out for a coin or two.
What
And
I'd love to know what it is that you feel about the kids of this orphanage being put to work as drug mules and
Ooh.
runners for the streets, right? Like, because I'm
Yeah.
not sure what your angle is here, frankly,
Mhm.
Okay.
and where you're going. I think that's where it comes into what's happening with the kids, right? Because you said you got to look out for them, but then that means that you're saying that they'll go work for them, but just be taken care of as workers rather than which is, fine by me, right? We live in the gutters of this planet, right? Like, your way up is to be a drug runner sometimes. But
So
it's where you want to go with it.
I'd like to have this conversation on screen, like in character. Can Wild Thing come up, or does someone else want to come up and have that conversation?
I mean, maybe.
Well, I'd like to
yeah.
actually. So I have a thought, and again, we're dancing on the line, and I want to respect that. But I had a thought, and let me just pose it out to the table. Which hopefully this doesn't violate a line to talk about it. But what if the Rhodian comes out, and one of the people he's been told is real good at it is Relbo, and so the Rhodian's going to come out and ask Wookiee to come with him.
And I'm fine with that being on the table. But I like Will's suggestion of let's have this conversation and see where that's coming from.
Okay.
So let's put that, that's going to happen. It just hasn't happened yet.
Is it? Well, I'm checking in. Anybody else? Is that
I'm not super happy about going into this much detail about
okay?
recruiting kids for selling drugs.
Well, then why don't we
It's,
just why don't we do we want to just back off pretty hard on this?
I
And
mean,
maybe
I'll be honest, I was waiting for Dwang to, grab this Gamorium and throw him against the door and say, like, you stay away from these kids, you piece of poodoo. These ain't gonna, like, they got better hopes than anything that you're gonna do. You ain't going in with the huts, that kind of thing, which is what I would have, if you go with the Wild Thing, that's what he'd be like, nah, working for the huts, it's just another kind of slavery. You're gonna sell these kids into slavery? What kind of hound are you, Dwang? Like,
Let's actually say that. Okay, I think that, Rich, if we want to just kind of hard frame against this, let's just go back and say that the owner of the orphanage or the person who's running the orphanage kicks him out.
oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm into it. Yeah.
Yeah, and tells go find your stuff somewhere else.
So you're talking, and then the owner of the orphanage, she comes out and like has the collar of the roadie and says, no, I don't care. Don't want your filthy stinking credits. And tosses him out, and the Rhodian like dusts himself off, looks over at the Gamorrean. The Gamorrean tenses a little bit, like, are we gonna have a fight now? But he waves him off, and he gives you like a little half salute, Dwang, and heads to his speeder, and they slide away. They head out.
And I think at that point, Dwayne kind of gets up and he says, good match, Wookie. We'll hit it next time. And walks over to talk to the head of the orphanage and says, you've really got the kids. Who is the head of the orphanage? Do they have
That's a great question. I was furiously looking to see.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna actually have a human. Oh my goodness, she's fallen so far down here in Undercity. We're going to say, I really need to get some new names. I've used a lot of these. Hold on a sec.
While you look that up, I think Dwayne is like, I think that you've basically, I really appreciate the care that you take of the kids. That's important. At least you've bought them a little bit more time so that before they have to go out on the streets. And Dwayne hands the rest of his credits over to her and says, take good care of them.
Cool. And we'll say her name's Kaliel.
Kaliel.
And
Yeah.
she says, oh, thank you. This will get them a lot of food. Thank you.
Yeah. It's important to also have, treats in there, but yeah, food's important. And then he just kind of turns around and walks away.
Cool. Is that good? You guys good with that kind of flip for the scene? All right. Thank you guys for helping us manage through that. I really appreciate it.
I'm still unclear as to where we were going with it in the first place, to be perfectly honest with you.
I take the hit on that. I let off a scene putting kids in danger, and I should not have done that. I just saw an NPC that was out there, and I'm like, oh, would it be interesting if I danced towards a threat? I was not mindful of the lines, and I appreciate you guys calling me on it. So that's why we went weird. Is me, and I'll be more mindful. Cool.
I want to fight something.
Yeah, I think fighting.
Yeah, let's find another guy. Let's clutch, boys. We got the ginger spice, we got the creds. But those Becks, they need to know that when they come at our home, we'll come at theirs. What we hit wasn't their place. Hitting a clubhouse is a whole different escalation. As enforcer, it's my responsibility.
But just going head to head with the Becks, I feel, can we not push somebody else against the Becks, or turn somebody against the Becks?
Well, I do have one of the Beck's bikes.
Yeah, now that's something we could do. We could hit somebody, crash. Yeah, that's a damn good idea, Wild Thing. I like that. Let's use that bike to attack somebody and make it look like the Becks did it. That's a damn good idea.
Should we maybe work out, test Crusher's little theory that the Vulcars are just the spin-off of the Becks? like a little proxy group. Then we can go, if we hit the Vulkars and they don't go after the Becks, we'll know that this whole schism thing is just a ruse to let the Becks keep their pretty
Ruse.
picture. But if they do go after
Cool,
the
nice
Becks, yeah.
Nice one, Wild Thing. I think we got a plan.
Cool. So the Zid Hounds mount up, and the plan is that you want to stoke a fight between the Black Vulkars and the Hidden Becks.
Yeah, so the way I'm imagining it is we have this bike, do it up to make it look like the Beck's bike and everything, and make it seem like foolproof, looking like the Beck's thing. That whoever's riding that bike starts a fight with one of the members of the Vulkars, right? And then the rest of us jump that fight, but like just like masks and stuff, and like don't be seen. Like there's only one swoop bike involved in this whole thing. It's like he throws a can and then races off, and then as these two idiots chase off, we just jump them in an alleyway somewhere, and then leave behind, like, and remember the Becks did this, you dirty splitters. And we see what happens.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So you're going to jump some Vulkars. That is fascinating. So
probably Zaron, frankly, a recent, maybe Zaron and Chanhund, a Wookiee and
it was exactly what I was like. Yeah, if you were to hit Bax, Vidar, or Kavad, they would know because they know who the Becks are. But those two newbies, they don't. That is a good call. So Zarin and Chanhund are buddies, right? And Zaron upgraded himself from a street gang to the Black Vulkars after they formed up. He saw a chance to get a leg up, to move up, and literally move up because they are not in Black Vulkars, or they run around in Lower Terrace and in Lower City and occasionally up in Middle City. But when they go in Middle City, they keep their noses clean because that's where you can get in some real trouble. There's 20 stormtroopers there, planetary authority. It's a fine, upstanding place. You do your dirty deals in secret there. So let's say the best place to find them is that there's a, there's a high stakes Savik table that they do a bit of a side hustle looking after security, and catching them at this high stakes Savik joint, which I think we'll call it 3 Down. That's the name of it. I don't know if you guys know, Savik's just basically a bunch of like add up and down math. I'm like, why is it so popular? But it is. So 3 Down is this high stakes Savik table up in Middle City. So where you guys are going, it's a little risky. There could be the potential of folks interceding in fights, folks by meaning authorities. Whole gang's in on it, I assume. So as a road captain, Clutch, you're still kind of sort of the one to give a heads up to the overall plan here. That Zaroon and Chanhund will work here. You don't know when they get off, like when things end up. That would take a little bit of snooping around, a little bit of research.
Yeah, so just to clarify your plan, Wild Thing, should we hit these two when they leave this Sabbat club, rob them? How about we leave the Beck's bike, say it won't start, say you jimmy it somehow, so that person that's has to then sort of jump side saddle on somebody else's bike, and we'll leave that there. So we'll go in with your plan, we'll beat them up, and say we're the Becks, and then leave that there as evidence. I'm sure you could tune it so it just coughs and splutters, the grabs fail, and then that person will jump on somebody else's bike, leave that there as prime evidence that it is the Bex. Is that what you're saying?
That seems good. I was just going to use spray can and write Bex forever. But we can do both.
Well, this will no doubt, it'll say Bex because it is Bex.
Has to be human, though.
Yeah. So looks like a Crusher. You're riding the Bex bike. You good with that, Crusher?
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Volkar's here, the
Excellent.
human woman wrecked them, stole, left their bike behind. The bike is a Bex bike, and they will definitely assume that it is one of the Bex, maybe even the leader. Just remember to yell "splitter" as you leave.
Yeah, you know, call the bike carked and everything. It's got to be a carked Bex bike. We'll leave it there. Wild Thing will make the thing sort of collapse. After we've given them a good shoeing.
So to do a plan where I think everybody has a role to do, right? What I'm thinking is their Swoop bikes are in the alleyway behind this Sabbath bar, right? Like that's where they leave them parked.
Yeah.
Our imposter goes over and tags them, and then as they come out, jumps onto a Swoop bike that doesn't start, and then legs it, right? And legs it down a nearby alleyway where we're waiting, and we just boomf, like take these guys out, take anybody who's pursuing her out, and just knock them out, right? And then just leave them with spray paint all over the wall, all over their Swoop bikes, saying, Vulcas are just Bex, are just pale Bex or whatever, right? And a memory of being told that like this is what you get for splitting from the Bex, as various hands and feet wail upon their head, right? And a human female who maybe we dye their hair blonde.
Man, look at this, Crusher. You're like gonna have to go in, stick your nose in this. They've got a lot of plans for you, Crusher. Are you partaking in any of this very complicated plan and hair dye? Do you really want to be a blonde?
I think at this point, Crusher is a bit drunk after celebrating the big score. So she's sure. I'll play along. Sounds fun.
Nice. So we get to see a blonde Crusher. Are you going for blonde? Oh my goodness, I don't know how that girl would look blonde.
I think actually Crusher has a wig, not a really good one, but still, I mean, it's a blonde wig.
Awesome.
I'd like to imagine that as you're like, I'm not dyeing my hair. Just reach into a big bag, pull out a blonde wig, pull out a blue wig. Which one would you prefer?
Oh, that's funny. I'm really curious. Is this a thing? Is Crusher springing this on them? The fact that she has a number of wigs, or did everybody know that and that was just an element of the plan?
I think they know. I think she likes to change her look a bit, but when she's working, she usually when she's doing the things with the gang, she goes back to her regular look. But
Cool. Yeah, so no big deal. We're good. All right. So Crusher, you are going to head up to the alleyway and try to time it for these guys when they're getting off work. Any plans you're going to do, or are you just going to sit like stakeout style for a while until they come out?
Should we send a guy in? Because we got some creds. A few of us might still be flush. We could go in at the Sabbat table. So we could provide some intel.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind some intel. What about? I think I saw one of those Bex down in the alleyway with the Swoop bikes, right? Like as we're sat around the table playing cards, and then they go and they run out to lead them by the nose the entire way, basically, you know?
Yeah.
And then
Set
there's
the
a
hook.
chat in the bar about how, like, oh, they went out after someone saw a Beck, right? Like, keep spreading more and more rumors and lies.
Oh, that's good. Playing little mind games. This is a pretty cool plan. I like it. So
Is
who's
that in the
who's setting the
chaplain's
hook?
department? Twang, you are a man to go inside, or girl, actually. Sorry. Sure, you know, the chaplain, I think you got the spiritual side here, and that could intimidate them. So, yeah, Twang's the woman.
Okay. So Twang goes in and does a cool plus jaw, I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think you're trying to do two things here, right? Number one, you're trying to set the hook to get these two Volcars to head outside so that they can catch Crusher, faking like the hidden Becks are causing problems. You also want to spread a little bit of word that the hidden Becks are causing trouble with the Black Volkers.
Some witnesses, you know,
Yeah,
not real witnesses, but the sort of witnesses that are like, oh, I heard, you know, like, and I did this. It's like complete bullshit, but it's that sort of like rumor mill kind of thing, right? Because all they heard was someone said Bex, and then two idiots ran out of there and then got beaten up, right? That's all they know.
So luring these guys out, the two newest members of the Volkar, Zaran and Chanhond, that's just normal difficulty. But if you want to stretch it and spread the word so that it's not just the two of them, but everybody at the Savage table saw that it was hidden Becks, that's going to be a slightly harder thing. So we're going to bump that up to karking hard. If you do it, though, then Zarun and Chanhun have the backing of all these Savage players. It's going to get out on the street and hit Middle City. So lots of opportunity for stoking some kind of conflict between those two gangs. Or you can just lure those two out, and then their word is probably, you know, it's going to mean something for sure.
But remember that, you know, when someone disses you behind, you know, in private, you can live with it. When they diss you publicly, you've got to be seen to take revenge, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we need to, you know, it's almost more important that like the word is spread than that they actually buy it, because then they have to defend their reputation. So yeah, sure.
And there are people here. There's security. So I think tension's involved in the role. Like, Twang, you're doing a dangerous thing here. It could go wrong. It could go pear-shaped. So it sounds like you're going for the gold, karking hard. Tension is involved, which means that because the difficulty of the role is the cap for the amount of karks you could lose from ones, that's why I wanted to make sure which of the two are you going for. And it sounds like you're going to try to go for the whole enchilada. That sounds awesome. This is karking hard. You need 4 successes. Let's build your roll.
Yeah, so I guess I think I'm making a scene and I'm being loud. And what am I saying? I'm saying, like, you know, I thought this was you know, this was a safe establishment. Why are there a bunch of you know, gang members hanging out outside? How am I supposed to take my winnings and feel safe when there are these Becks, you know? And I'm just getting louder and louder.
There we go. Awesome. So what style are you working in? I could see either based on the flavor of your approach, because you're not punching anybody, but you're also talking about really violent stuff. And so which do you feel like?
I think I'm being badass. I mean, I think I'm just really
okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're using your jaw here, right? Is that the thing you're applying?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So that is 5 dice you've got right now. I don't think assault is what you're doing here. Robbery and arson don't feel like they're right. So you got a base of 5 dice. You need 4 successes. Do you want to spend any karks?
I'm gonna need to spend quite a few cards.
Yeah.
So what am I at? I'm at 5.
I think you can only spend 1 each, right?
A player can spend as many cards as they want on their own
okay,
roll.
okay.
It's only help that is 1.
Okay.
But multiple swoop bike gangers can help one person. Right. Team effort can work that way.
I'm just gonna spend a bunch.
Okay.
I'm prepared to sort of do some sort of like donuts outside. On my swoop bike, sort of, lend an audio component to what Twang's saying. So they think, is he just mouthing off? Of course he's not, because I can actually hear something outside. So yeah, I'll throw in.
Sounds good. I like
mean,
it.
You could just yell from out back, right? Like, hey, you get away from those swoop bikes.
Yeah, I'll throw in one as well, but oh, shut up! I'm taking this one. You don't threaten the backs.
Love
It's
it.
a wild thing is the one down in the alleyway waiting for everybody else for them all to be led here, right?
And Crusher's like, in like a video game, like in the pattern of about to steal it, but waiting for them to trigger it. That sounds good. I love it. Cool. So you've got 5 and then 2 from help. And how many carks are you spending of your own? So you're sitting at 7 dice.
I spent how many? Wait, how many did I spend? What was I at?
You can hit Control Z a couple times to undo if you want.
Well,
I think you were at 10 to start with.
I think it was at 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds right. Okay. So
you're sitting at 7 dice with the help. And looks like you're spending at least 3.
I'll spend 3.
Okay. So you are rolling 10 dice, looking for 4. 4s are better. 1s are going to hurt you. Up to 4 of those 1s could hurt. Oh, and again, only 1. You guys are so lucky. I love it. 1, 2, 3. Is that 4? 4. I missed one. Barely squeak by. It's tense. There's a conversation, and I think that tension, right? The one is that those 2 Black Vulkars, the Nosaurian and the Wookiee, they look at each other when you talk about some hidden becks outside. But at the same time, the tension is that one of the servers, you see her actually go and she grabs a commune, like she's gonna call the cops. Like this sounds like the kind of trouble they don't want to get mixed in. That's the tension. So there's a timer on this now. Good news is you guys have a pretty good plan, so it'll be fine, I'm sure. So they both take off. You succeeded, right? They head out, and there are people like, hidden becks. Oh man, I heard that they hated the Vulkars. And why are we even employing these Vulkars? There's some conversation going on. There's one person who's like gotten a little thing. They're recording the Wookiee and the Nosaurian heading outside. Boom, we cut to the door swinging wide. Crusher, what do they catch you doing?
I'm just like mounting up on the bike on the swoop, and I turn around and see them and jump off and run down the alley. Nice.
So the Nosaurian, he screams and he runs to his bike, but that Wookiee, he is moving. It's like a big long stride. He's gonna catch you if you don't scoot hard. I think tension's involved, because if he catches you, he's gonna knock you to the ground and wail on you. So I'm gonna call this hard. Let's build your roll, Crusher.
Yeah, I think this is badass, because be cool is, if it ain't gonna hurt you or someone else, you're being cool, and this is hurting definitely.
For sure.
So it's badass, and I can't say it's anything else but feet at this point, which is
sadly
really
true.
Bad. And I don't think my expertise is helping either.
Okay.
I could make an argument for theft, Because you're taking someone's stuff without.
There you go. Even if you're just faking it, it's totally theft.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Yeah,
It gives
yeah,
you an
yeah.
advantage. Like you knew, oh, they might chase after me. I'm going to give myself a slightly better angle for
Cool,
beating
cool.
feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You steal like part of the bike, right? You know, so they can't just jump on it and chase after you. You steal, like, you're taking off like the Star Wars the hover wheel or whatever it is.
Yeah. But it's 1 extra die for the expertise, right?
Yes,
That
it's 1
puts
die for
me-
expertise.
so
Yeah, I
I'm
should
still
stick that in
just
the
at-
hover over.
Yeah, I'm still just at 4 dice.
I'll lend
dude.
you a kark, and again, I think this is in terms of prep. You have my trusty Hydra spanner to help you mess with these bikes some more, and I gave you the tags. You know, it's like I'm not here directly. I've helped you beforehand.
Yeah. So that's 5. How hard did you say it was?
That is a great question. I think it is hard. So difficulty of 3.
Then I'm going to throw in. I'm going to throw in 3 of my own cards.
Whew.
At 8 dice. 2. Oh, let's see. 8 dice. Rolling. That's 4.
Oh, but
And 2
tensions.
1s.
1, 2, 3, 4, but 2 1s. Awesome. So because it's hard, that meant up to 3 of those could count against you. You're going to lose a couple of karks, but he doesn't catch you. So the plan was that you were going to run to the hidden bike and try to ride off, right? So do you follow through on that?
I mean, the plan was that I was pretending to steal the bike. They notice me. I run down the alley. We jump them, basically.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you run
But-
down the alleyway. I think it's a thing where you're I don't think pulling something is losing 2 karks. I think it's just the sheer tension and the fright of a growling Wookiee chasing after you, and it just feels like he's catching on you, even though you make it around the corner, and there are the rest of your gang. So you see Chanhon didn't have a gun, but he's a big honking Wookiee. He's about to catch Crusher. She's just barely dodging out of the way. Who moves in to take out the next step in this plan?
I do.
So-
I jumped the Wookiee.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
just a question. Because if I lose 2 cards, then I'm down to 0. Do bad things happen at 0, or is it if you lose additional?
So that's a great question. So if you go down to 0, you're like on the edge. You're just about wasted. You'd need to take more damage to be KO'd, knocked out, whatever you want. You're like at the edge. It's going to be hard to do anything. Like your difficulty numbers are going to go up. It's dangerous. You really are wasted right now. Like tired. Dwayne jumps in. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I think I'm like running down this narrow alley, and I'm basically slamming into a wall, and then just taking off and sliding in where the others are waiting, and the Wookiee's right behind me.
Yeah, I love it.
And Clutch, you and Wild Thing were here in the alley as well, right?
Wild Thing definitely was. I think you, Dwang. I was doing those sort of donuts. So
Well, that's right.
I'm probably going to do something. Now that you said, Rich, that the Wookiee left his bike. He pursued on foot, didn't he?
He did. He
So-
like came out and immediately just took off running after.
Yeah. Let's see this through with Crusher, Dwang, and Wild Thing, and then I'd like to do something with the Wookiee's bike, hopefully. So I'll leave you guys to it.
Cool. Well, Dwang jumps on the back of the Wookiee, right? I think that's and I'll definitely throw a kark in for that.
Oh, sweet.
I've been waiting to be able to kick some Wookiee ass, right? Let's see.
Now are you on your bike?
No. I think so. Our bikes are nearby. That's the getaway. I think
Yep.
the plan is we're just going to jump these guys and we're going to mess them up. And I think maybe part of the plan was probably just stun them or something. But Dwayne isn't gonna, isn't gonna shoot him. He's just gonna beat him up and try and knock him unconscious. And Wookiees are fun to fight with anyway, right?
Yeah, sure. Fun. Based on your version of fun, sure.
That's
Sweet.
right.
I think fighting a Wookiee one-on-one, hand-to-hand is karking hard.
Yeah.
And tension's involved. So you're going to need 4 successes.
Okay.
It's a thing where like you come in low and he's going to grab you and try to throw you somewhere. It's going to be vicious.
So I think I'm being badass and I have hands. And I think this is assault, so that gets me to 7.
Yep.
Will said he tossed 1 in, that's 8. I'm gonna toss in 1 myself, that'll be 9, and I think I'll sit there.
Can I like burst out of a back exit from the bar and
Yeah, well, I mean, like
toss off what
Crusher runs down, right? And then Dwang leaps from like a fire escape thing on top of the Wookiee. And then as the other one turns around, you're closing off the alleyway behind them, right? Like, yeah,
tossing off whatever cloak or whatever to that I was dressed in while I was in there to try to look a little more high class. And
love it. That's cool.
Perfect. So I'm gonna roll this. See if I get taken out. Let that go.
Again.
So I got 4 successes and 1-1.
4 6s and 1. Oh wow, that's pretty great. So you needed exactly 4. I think the tussle is what hurts you, right? You get a little bit of the kark knocked out of you, but not all of it. And you wail on this Wookiee. I think it just like it's the size difference throws it off the balance. And maybe he's never fought a Doug before. He keeps waiting for your hands to do something. He's like knocking. It's wild, man.
And I think I'm actually swinging him like into the wall of the building and making, letting the building do the damage. And he gets a couple of good hits on me that just knock me senseless. Yeah.
Love it. And Twang comes out and helps out here. Eventually you guys have taken down this Wookiee, knocked him senseless. And that's when you hear the sound of the other Swoop bike, right? Like he's trying to start it. Who was coming down the alleyway to deal with our Nosarian?
Wild Thing.
Right. So I thought.
Who just is going to clothesline him as he comes through, as he races into the alleyway. It's just going to, I think it's actually not like clothesline. It's going to like, because Tals are like kind of like big monkeys as well, right? They've got like prehensile like feet as well as hands, right? So like he gonna grab onto a railing and then like extend across the whole way, like with his feet on one side of the alleyway and his arms against the other. So it's like being clotheslined by a body rather than just a hand.
That's wild. I love it. Zaroon, it's the thing where he's going to try to duck out of the way. He really does not want to be clotheslined by a crazy Towels. So I'm going to say the difficulty here is just hard. It's not karking hard. Like he's a little, didn't see that coming. Tension's involved though. He might hurt you.
Well, I think this is, I think the way I framed it is feet, right?
Yeah, totally
so
feels right.
That's 1 for feet. It's badass. So it's 3 for that. And it is, however, assault. So that's 4, and I will throw in 2 karks for 6 dice in total.
Okay. I hear you're worried about having too many karks. Look how many karks you got left right now. Not so good, huh? I love it.
I'll
I'll spend another one.
I'll spend one. I'm just.
You're back in the club though.
No, I burst out out of back door to join in. Yeah, I'm probably not that close. Maybe I'm just taking a shot just to kind of help wrangle him, give him.
Maybe you just yell like, "Hey, behind you!" as he turns around his shoulder, as he
like it.
So that
Wang's a floater. She's helping everybody. This is great.
Puts me on 8 dice now. In fact.
Yep, 8 dice. You need 3 successes. Wow, that was not awesome.
No, that wasn't. So I lose 2 karks. And
Yeah.
I only get 2 successes.
I think it's a thing where he ducks underneath, and if Crusher, you hadn't kind of pulled the ignition or whatever thief thing you did, he probably would have zipped out on his bike, but he knows he can't start it. He tried it a couple times, so he ducks underneath you, Wild Thing, and then reaches up and grabs your leg and just yanks as hard as he can. He's surprisingly strong. Like, he didn't want to get kicked by a towels, but he's in it now.
Mhm.
And so he pulls you, and your hands come free, and you end up, bam, you slime into the back of the alley, knock over a bunch of like slam into a dumpster or something in the back alley,
Oh,
knock
yeah.
over a bunch of things. There's trash everywhere, and he realizes, oh, I can't start my speeder bike, and he starts to reach in for his scatter gun. So yeah, Twang, you see this as he's now just, if this were Dogs in the Vineyard, he's gone from fighting to blasters. He's about to escalate this real hard. What do you do, Twang?
How close am I to our speeders?
As close as you want to be. Like,
Yeah.
I don't imagine you guys had the speeders that far away, right? Because you were hoping to beat feet and get out of here.
Right. So maybe I can just go driving right in and give
Okay.
Wild Thing something to grab onto to get away.
Oh, so it's like a, yeah, let's just beat feet. Let's get out of here. You're gonna hop on your bike and try to ride and rescue Wild Thing. That sounds awesome. So I think this is tension is involved here. I think it's a hard maneuver you're trying to pull off. Definitely using your hog, and you're being badass, right? So starting with 5 dice. I don't think it's assault, robbery, or arson. Unless you say robbery, you're like trying to rob Wild Thing from this guy. But what do you think?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so you're looking for 3 successes. You want to spend any karks?
I will spend 1.
Okay. Wild Thing's gonna have to hold on to that last kark.
4 successes.
4 successes, no ones. Darn you, dice! You betray me and my desire to see all the karks go away. This is great. So Wild Thing, you see Twang zipping up in her sleek little swoop bike, try to pull you out from getting shot at by a scatter gun. What do you do, Wild Thing? Like, what does it look like when you ride away?
I swing upon, and it just looks like a shot going off over my head as I, hunch down. Like, oof.
Nice.
Yeah.
Scattergun sprays out and hits the dumpster, planting a bunch of holes. Crusher, you're looking pretty rough. Dwang, you've taken down the Wookiee, and you see the Crusher is probably has made her way to her bike. She really needs to get out of here. Clutch, what are you doing as you see Twang rescue Wild Thing, and the 2 of them are zipping away at this point?
I think as everybody disappeared down the alleyway, I walk over as cool as a cucumber, and I'm going to monkey with the Wookiee's bike. I want to set the power generator on it to 500%, and like get it ticking. So basically, it'll just start to overload. Yeah, I want to blow some poodoo up. That's what I want to do.
That's a harsh. I love it. So I think as you're heading over here and starting to work on the power cell generator, this bike isn't that far from the Nasarian, from Zaroon. So he may not like you messing with his buddy's bike. So I think tension is involved right here. And doing this if you had time, would be normal. But because there's a guy who's got a scattergun out, I think this is karking hard. Let's see if you can pull this off.
Okay, so it's badass.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm using my hands, and I'm blowing Poodoo up.
Okay.
So that puts me on 6 dice. I'm going to spend 1.
Okay.
That puts me on 7 dice.
Good luck. It's karking hard. You need
Okay.
4 successes. This is a wild, wild set.
And the crowd goes wild.
Oh man, you lose 1 kark. So I think it's a thing where
Still leaves me on 1.
you do. So did you set it to go towards the thing like where they're
Yeah.
going to frantically try to fix this, or is it set it to go so they can run away and explodes and they barely get clear?
I think this explosion's going to give us the sort of our bikes zip out of the alleyway, and then it explodes, sort of filling the small alleyway with sort of debris and fire. So yeah, our guys are shooting through this fire and smoke, but these guys, it sort of pins them. Yeah.
That is awesome. So you guys hop on your bikes as the alleyway is in flames. The Nasari, he got knocked back from the blast. He looks messed up, but he'll survive. You hear the klaxons of the stormtroopers making their way here, and you guys leave with the alleyway, besides 3 down, alight in flame. There is definitely a gauntlet thrown by the hidden Becks against the Black Vulkars. It is going to be hard to deny as you guys make your way out. I think we've got time for maybe like one after all the craziness scene that I'd like to make space for. Where is it that you guys end up?
Well, I think just before we leave,
Mhm.
I think Dwayne, since Crusher came with the fake bike, right? Dwayne helps Crusher onto his bike and takes off with her.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good place to end up. The bar, maybe, guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's the full like play, but you can see some of the prospects like hanging on every word as like this is all exaggerated, and Wang is like I took down a Wookiee single-handedly, and it's like, no, this time it's true. This time he did actually do it. Like single-handedly.
Yeah, and Twang's like, I saved Wild Thing, and
yeah,
the full.
And Crusher comes in wearing the blonde wig, of course, bows to everybody as they cheer,
Yeah.
and then throws it into the crowd, right? And Wild Thing picks it up and puts
For a
it on
moment,
top
I
of his
thought
head.
you said Wild Thing was wearing the wig.
Well, now he is. Now he is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's great. That's so cool.
Drinks for everyone.
We win a game.
And the vice president comes up and he says, "Oh, this is a good plan." Captain Doe says, "This is great, guys. This is great. I'm really proud of you. You did wonderful, man. I hope those hidden Becks, they have Vulkars all straight up their asses. That's going to be exactly what we need. Now, we need to figure out what we're going to do now that we've got some time. We don't have to worry about these guys coming after us. They're going after each other. I got an idea. Clutch, I've been thinking about this real hard. And
Go ahead, boss.
I think maybe we break Murgo out. What do you think, man?"
It's doable. It's doable, but we need some intel. Let me get the crew together, and let's see if we can get some intel first.
All right.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, we'll get some intel. We'll find out about that detention center. And I mean, it's an Imperial facility, so it's got to be like paper.
Oh yeah, we've got to get some good inside knowledge. So yeah, let me get the boys. That sounds like a plan, boss.
All right.
Let me get the boys and let's see what's going on.
You plan out the ride. I'm counting on you, Clutch. Make this happen. Go save our president.
Will do, boss. It will
You
do.
realize that he has basically said, "You go save our president."
Oh yeah,
You go.
yeah. This man takes zero risk.
Zero risks. Zero risks. And I kind of, that kind of feels like episode end unless people have any like tag scenes or last bits. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's the end is the very bold, very safe for him, Captain Doe declaration: go save my uncle from Imperial detention facility. Yay. Sweet. Let's do our end of session questions. So this is the entire table, GM and players, discussing the following questions. Did you clash with someone who threatened your people, your club, and the locals who mattered to you? Literally, you did that thing. Did you add to the legend of your gang?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
Yeah.
You know,
So tell me, just tell me how. I'm not arguing against it, but you did do a thing where you're trying to make it look like the Hidden Becks did it. So feel like the whole 3 down
Well, when
thing
the
is
Becks
adding
came
to
down, when the Becks came out,
okay. You defended yourself.
you drove them off. Yeah.
You drove them off. That sounds great.
yeah, you know, and we did sort of spread the legend with the prospects. So definitely there
Cool.
was some legend built there.
You have
Yeah,
convinced me.
We got the lights from his bike in our bar.
Oh,
gonna
that's
count for
that's
something.
true. It's such a great
yeah,
touch. I love
I
that.
want to be clear that this ruse is only going to work for so long until one of these
Oh,
prospects
Yeah.
starts bragging about it in a bar somewhere, right? But we wouldn't. No biker club should come up with perfect plans.
Exactly. It's boring. Perfection is boring. The added to the legend of your gang, that'll be a second XP. Did you have a conflict with your rivals or the law? 100%, like 2 of them. That's basically all we did all session. It's great. That's 3 XP base for everybody. Now I'm going to go around and talk to each of you as an individual. I'm going to start from the right-hand side of the character keeper. So Wild Thing. Did you live up to your rep or fulfill your role in the gang?
Yeah, I think I did
think
do.
so.
Yeah, because I
Even
was the
fix bikes?
enforcer. I fixed bikes and I was the enforcer, and I suggested that we should do something to punish the backs for coming at us.
Sure.
Which is So yeah, 1.
Supported another member. You spent so many karks that you ended up getting foobarred at the end. So that's 5 total XP for you. Dwang, did you live up to your rep or fulfill your role in the gang?
Yeah, I think taking on the Wookiee at the end, and I also think taking on the Beck's swoop bike guy and taking his bike from him, I think did that as well.
For sure. Did you support another member of the gang when they needed you?
I'm not sure. I can't. The only thing I can think of is at the very end, helping Crusher out, being her getaway guy, with the swoop bike.
Yeah, I buy it. That sounds good. 5 XP for you. Clutch. Did you live up to your rep or fulfill your role in the gang?
I think as road captain, not one member went down on that expedition. I mean, people got close, but we all went and we all got back. So yeah, I think as road captain, that was achieved.
Love it. Did you support another member of the gang when they needed you? I think so.
Oh yeah. There was the donut outside. Just making sure it ran smooth.
Cool. I love it. 5 XP for you. Twang. Did you live up to your rep? Fulfill your role in the gang?
I mean, there haven't been any, funerals and or wedding ceremonies to perform, but I think maybe just playing the Xantha and being the soundtrack for the gang.
Yeah, that was that bit where you play for the. I love that. And that's such a cool interpretation of the chaplain. That's really great. Did you support another team member or another member of the gang when they needed you? I dropped into Hit the Streets Valbridge. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely a few times.
Yeah. 5 XP for you. And last but not least, Crusher. Did you live up to your rep or fulfill your role in the gang?
Yeah, I mean, I made sure we got paid. I gotta say that falls under the treasurer.
That's pretty impressive, Treasurer. And did you support another member of the gang when they needed you?
Yeah, I had Dwang's back when we came back to the junkyard. I think that counts.
I think so too. Cool. Then we have concluded all the mechanical parts. We'll just do a quick round of stars and wishes. We start with wishes, so we end with stars. Will you got a drop?
No, I mean, I'm out of sax solo songs. That's all.
Okay. I was like, no.
What was
Cool.
that? What was that sax solo from The Lost Boys?
Oh,
Well, that's
Very
what
iconic.
yeah, we can do that next time. That's that's Twang's next song, right?
yeah. What was that song? Yeah, and now I'm gonna Google it, but we'll do this later. So start with wishes so we can end with stars. Who'd like to go first with wishes? Things you definitely like to see. We've got 3 more sessions left, or bits of confusion about the mechanics or the system.
Wish-wise, I would like to see something like you were setting up with the kids, with the orphanage, right? Which is that people that we care about, or like the community, right, coming under threat. I think mainly it just requires us to be clear about what it is that, as characters, we want out of those threats and those situations, right?
Yeah, I don't want to sound defensive, but yeah, absolutely that. We need to, like, there needs to be something other than bar, salvage yard, and undercity so that I can put it under threat.
Yeah,
and I'll happily do so.
Well, and I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I only really have like the dancer as a NPC type thing, right? But if you say that there's like, oh, the scrap merchant who brings stuff down to the thing and someone's been bullying him or whatever, right? Like, I'll just roll with that. You know what I mean? I don't need to come up with an NPC or whatever, right? You tell me that there's an NPC that I care about, and that'll be enough reason for Biker Gang to go and break some heads over it, frankly.
Sounds good to me.
You can always use the kids for a school visit to the detention center.
No, I've already broken. I've been bad with using kids under threat. I'm not going to put them in the decision. Scared straight.
I only put.
There's no safer place than an Imperial detention center.
I mentioned an orphanage mainly because I saw in the rules that there was something about charity.
Yes, exactly.
And it's where we could build stuff up and help out the orphanage, and give them some of our money and that kind of stuff to help build up the community.
Yeah, actually, like, I should have given you some carts for that scene with your kind of connection and at the orphanage, to be honest. We're going to roll carts at the beginning of next session. Oh, let me circle back to Will. What did you, and I want to ask everybody this, what did you think about rolling carts fresh at the beginning of the session?
I really like that you've got an unspecific number of things every time you start, right? That you start off with 1d4 plus 1, blah, blah, blah. I do agree that it maybe intrudes upon the importance of those refresh carks, particularly since refreshing a cart gives you 3 to 6, right? But I do like it. If it was up to me, I would just have refresh carks be like 1, and you roll at the start basically, and that way somebody who only rolls really low is very motivated to do lots of like character scenes.
That's a good point, and I knew that this approach would mean there will be some like unforeseen consequences, and I think the three or more for bonding scenes and rolling at the beginning, like, those are at cross purposes. So are you guys cool if we say refresh scenes are a little easier to do, but they're just 1, unless there's some like super crazy thing? Okay, cool. I'm gonna tweak that then, and that's good. Thank you for the feedback, Will. Appreciate it. Any other wishes from Will?
No, trouble locals, that's pretty much what I want. Yeah.
I've got it, written it down. I'm very excited about that. Who'd like to go next with wishes?
I'll go next. We talked at the end about setting up, trying to get the president out of prison. Can we say that Murgo is actually held by the Black Sun and not by the Imperials?
Oh my gosh.
That would tie in so that we have some Black Sun interaction.
Ooh, held by the Imperials on the orders of Black Sun.
Ooh. I like that. Oh, and that's something we could find out later. Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I think I'm good.
Love it. Cool. Who'd like to go next with wishes?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just to sort of build on what Will said about, yeah, I'm not too happy with this vice president. So maybe we need to get rid of the pres and the vice president. So
Ooh,
yeah,
harsh.
maybe a story going in that direction. You know, we're busting the pres out. He might not quite make it all the way out. Who knows? Yeah, and then we'll deal with the VP.
Maybe not safe. Thank you, Paul. Brian or Anders would like to go next.
I can go. Yeah, I think I'd like to see some kind of confrontation with the Hut, because now he's sending his guys down here to kind of intrude on our turf. But that's not a huge thing. I mean, we don't have that many sessions, but if there's time for it, I'd like to see something there.
Yeah, I was hoping to lay the groundwork. I just did it imperfectly,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
He's got a lot of spice. Now he's going to move it. It's going to encroach on you guys. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about this thing with the carts, and I think I'm not against the changes that we're making, but I think we should be aware that they push the focus a lot towards doing the crime stuff. That's not necessarily bad, especially for a short series. You kind of want to focus on that. But when we re-roll the cards every session and we only get a little bit for the sort of downtime action or whatever you want to call it, the reconnection bit, that means that all the focus will be on spending the cards and very little on gaining the cards. So we kind of move away from we're doing the crime because we want to support the community, or at least supporting the community is part of what we do. And like I said, I'm not against it, but I think we should be aware that we're kind of pushing the game away from the cycle of doing the crime and then doing the good deeds, if you want to call it that.
That's true. There's very little payoff for charity work and duracrete justice.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. Like I said, for a short series, because if we're dividing our time between those two, then maybe we won't get very far in either. But I think if we were running like 10 sessions, then I think I would have preferred to stay with the rules as written, just to maintain that, like the cycle of play thing.
Cool.
But with the way we're running this now, I'm fine with it. It's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I sort of get what you're saying there, Anders. I think the trouble with a lot of the downtime sessions is it's quite individually focused. So you then get quite a few people sat around, and I think that's what you're getting at, and why you say it's okay having the group session, because then everybody's involved in the sort of crime, where the refresh tends to be sort of a lot smaller groups, and even if it's 3 groups, you could have one person sat out for, or 2 people sat out for a sort of a chunk of time. I think that's just the system. That's nobody's fault. That's just the system.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the system, it's the function of 5 players. But sorry, Stephen.
No, that's right. I was going to say, one thing we could do is we could have, the community needs a repair, construction job.
I think it'll come out of play, frankly, because
I agree.
we do the stuff that we care about, right? And we just haven't. We're 2 sessions in, and we've not really built anything that we do care about yet.
Yeah.
So yeah. And besides, cool. we have little karks to do our duracrete justice with. You know what I mean? Like we spend karks to get karks as well, right? Like it becomes the focus rather than the separate 2 different worlds kind of thing. Anyways, sorry.
No, I think this has been a good discussion. I appreciate Will and Anders your different like approaches towards it. It's neat to see this. Like, if you change this one thing, what does this do, and what does it do to the play? And it's fascinating to me. So I really think it's pretty cool. Brian, did you have any wishes?
I think everything's been pretty much covered.
Cool.
Yeah, nothing in particular.
All right. Well, you went last on wishes. You get to go first on stars. Do you have any stars that you'd like to hand out?
Oh, I always think I should take notes during the session so that like, I can never remember. Like,
where's the link? Will, are you taking notes?
Yeah, it's under it's on the roller page.
It's on the roller page. So if you ever want to check the notes that Will's taken, it's always really helpful.
It's on the wait, what? The what?
So there's a safety and roller tab
okay.
on the character keeper, and Will has a wholly different like Google Doc where he's taking copious and detailed
What?
notes.
Well, stars for doing that.
For real.
Um,
It might take a little while to read through them in this spot of the moment.
But I mean, other than that, just stars all around. Having
Cool.
a good time.
Thank you, Brian. Anders, any stars?
Yeah, for sure. I really enjoyed all the little character moments. Dwang playing with the kids, Wild Thing putting on the wig, and Twang playing the Xantha. Is that the name? And Paul talking to the VP. I think all those, and I mean the action has been fun as well. I really enjoyed the voice mod thing with the hut. It's really spot on.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a fun session.
Good. Thank you, Anders. Paul, what about you? Any stars?
Yeah, you know, people. There was no profanity, I don't think, throughout. Everybody really stuck to the sort of Star Wars way of speaking and doing things. You know, no death, but there was some good violence and action. You know, I think that's really good. You know, we could have gone in blasters blazing, but I think as a group, you know, it worked really well. So stars to everybody there for really keeping it Star Warsy. That was good.
Nice. Thank you, Paul. Steven.
Yeah, I have a couple of stars. One is in general for everyone. Like, to be honest, I feel like at least some of the parts of this session and the last session have been like the Dwayne show. It was like Dwayne goes out and does some crazy shit, and then everybody has to pick up after it. And I don't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. I'll try and pull that back a little bit, but it's, you know, I don't want to hog the camera, and I appreciate everybody putting up with my crazy shit that I do. The other one is to Anders for asking and bringing up the conversation about how are we handling things with kids. I think I put down the line about violence towards kids. So whenever we started dipping into that territory, I felt confident that we would be okay. But I really appreciate bringing that up and saying, hey, let's talk. And bringing that up and then me saying, hey, let's talk about it and bring that out to the front to make sure everybody's comfortable.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. Thank you. Appreciate it, Stephen. Will,
Stars
been taken?
Stars to Paul for you know, leaning into the sort of nominal leader role of the whole thing. I don't think it's the Dwang show. I think Dwang is the wacky character who comes out of nowhere and is like constantly, you know, like the camera doesn't follow them all that often, but they just suddenly appear and just like and then end up in some hijinks. They're almost like the comic relief at the same time, you know. I think that's perfect. And Crusher having the wigs so much better than having your hair dyed.
That was great.
Yeah, and you know, Twang, I like now that we have this Xanth soloist like doing the backing noise for all of our things. We have our own in-house band, which I love. And Rich, you know, for putting it all together, including from you know, the moment where I was just like, right, let's do a plan and let's start a gang war between people, and you know, like rolling with that rather than it being any kind of like, it's not in my notes sort of thing. I do that all the time.
Notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is great. You guys are really fun. This is a wonderful thing to wake up to be able to play this silliness with y'all, have some fun in Star Wars with mean gangers who are surprisingly cool. I love it. Thank you all so much for playing, and we'll bring the recording to a close here.